One. What's up, everyone? Coach Tony here. I'm joined by Coach Victor. We'll do a little more formal intro in a little bit. But in this training, we're going to talk about why your GPA does not matter. It's a really kind of controversial topic for a lot of families because that's the first thing everyone talks about to us is GPA this, GPA that. So hopefully in this little session, we're going to kind of demystify it for you. So number one, we're going to talk about how the GPA is actually created first. So you guys understand that first. Then number two, why it doesn't really matter. And number three, what things you should actually look at instead when it comes to the academics to understand, hey, are we competitive for certain schools or not? Right? Quick formal little introduction. My name is Coach Tony. I've been a former former UC Berkeley admissions reader. Read tens of thousands of applications, recommended yes and no to students. So I saw a lot of these little GPA numbers kind of fly by as well too, and little spoilers, little teasers didn't matter that much to me as a reader itself. So if that doesn't matter too much to me there, part doesn't matter too much to me now as well too. So did that. Been working in college admissions for the last 16 years, helping students get into pretty much all the different types of schools out there. Me and Coach Victor were actually just chatting right before this, and we were kind of proud coaches of our students. Like today alone, our kids gone to MIT, which is again literally one of the hardest schools to get into in the U.S. And our kids did it, just like cake, and they were so chill about it as well too. So that kind of shows to how incredible our students work with some awesome guidance as well too. So I have an awesome co-host for here today. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it over to Coach Victor for a quick little intro.
Hi everyone, Coach Victor here. By way of background, I used to work in admissions with Coach Tony, and that's where we actually met. I used to be part on the outreach staff, so organizing trips to visit all different types of high schools across California to be able to educate folks about how to get into schools. And so been teaching this for a very long time now, and also during that time helped a lot of students even doing appeals as well to be able to get into Berkeley. So that was a really exciting time. And also during my time in admissions, I used to work for the Graduate School of Admissions as well, teaching a class on how to get into graduate school. So that being said, this topic actually interestingly applies to graduate school too, because in terms of the GPA not mattering. So super excited to talk about that. And also been working in education for the past, I don't even know how many years now, 12 to 15 years or so in education policy, education nonprofits, and also working in tech. And now here with Coach Tony. So super excited to be able to work with you all and excited to talk about this.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and throw it back again. So, really quick for those who are here live, those watching the replay, we are going live on Zoom. If you guys want the live Zooms, let me know. We can send you guys the access for the Zooms. But for those who are here, can you guys see the screen? I always ask because every time I always do these, one time I think I'm traumatized. One time I talked and I shared the wrong screen for the entire hour. So really quick for those who are here, you can help me out. Drop a quick yes or no. Go change the screen really quick so I know kind of. All right, I see a few yeses. Fantastic. Cool. So we're on the right screen here. So again, today's topic is why your GPA doesn't matter. Again, we're going to talk about three main things. We're going to talk about how to generate the GPAs for those who want to learn kind of that first. Then we're going to talk about why your GPA doesn't matter. And number three, we're gonna focus on what really matters when it comes to academics, right? So that's gonna be the game plan for today. Okay. For those of you who are joining us live, if you have questions, feel free to start dropping them in the chat. We see them. We're just gonna hold them to the very end, though, if that's okay with you guys. Kind of just answer it in a Q&A kind of format after the call. Okay. So first off, let's talk about how to generate GPA. So the first way is we can be kind of lazy about it and then have our counselors show us on a transcript, right? But how do they come up with that number, right? So there's a few steps if you want to do it on your own. Just a heads up, I don't recommend anyone do it on their own, but this is good for common knowledge in case you are curious about this, right? So when it comes to generating your GPA, step number one, what you want to do is you want to go ahead and turn all of your grades from letters to numbers, right? So this is the first step. Again, if you have a copy of your transcript, this is actually pretty simple to do. It's hard to kind of think to kind of pull up all your class unless you have a really good memory. But you want to turn all of your grades from letters to numbers. When it comes to high school GPA, your A minus and your A's and your A pluses is all the same, right? It's all this is an A, right? So if it's an A, it's going to be 4 points. A B is going to be 3 points. A C is going to be 2 points. D is 1 point. F is going to be 0 points. Is the first thing there. Okay. So you can not ignore your pluses and minuses will matter in undergraduate going to grad school, just not going from high school to undergrad there. Right. So that's step number one. Step number two. Step number two of this is once you have all of these grades count all these grades changed up, right? You're gonna go ahead and add +1 for any honors classes that you have as well too, right? So we're speaking, this is just a very high level generic GPA because there are some special GPAs out there. For example, there's the UC GPA where they only count certain classes, not every class as well. And that's a different math. They only count certain grades, not other grades. Then you count that as well too. Just speaking, this is again, this is very high level training. So any honors level course, typically you'll see like again, high school transcripts do this is any honors approved class, honors or AP or IB or college, you're going to get a +1 for that. So for example, what that means is let's say in 10th grade, you took honors world history and you got a B, right? You got a B in that class. So basically what this will mean is that your B, right, is going to be 3 points, right? Because again, B equals 3, but that honors will add a +1 to this, which means this is going to be 4 points, right? So that's pretty much what it is. Keeping in mind, this is going to be uh, per, no, it's going to be per term, right? What that means is that a lot of you guys are in semester-based schools, right? So that means you get 2 semesters per year. Some of you guys in trimester, you get 3. Some of you guys are in a quarter or like a 4x4 school, and then you get 4 grades, right? Throughout a year as well too. So this is per grade. So like let's say in the fall, I got a B here, and then in spring, I took the same honors world history class and I got an A. Then this would be 4 points +1 equals 5, right? So then that'll be 9 points, okay? So that's that. So once I figure out the +1s for each one, next step is step 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and take the average, right? Take the average, or in other words, divide by number of classes total, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the big number that I get at the end of this one. So all the classes, all the big numbers, and you add up. So you take the sum of total grade plus honors, right? And then you're going to go ahead and divide it, right, by the number of classes, right? So the quick example is right here. So let's say we just have these 2 classes right here. Again, it should be a lot more, but just assume these 2 classes right here is all you took, right? Then the total here will be 9, right? Total is 9 divided by, there's 2 classes here, 2. So my GPA on this class will be a 4.5, right? You do not round. So the reason why that's some of it's like a bigger number than that, so you don't like round up. It's just exactly what it is. Do it to 2 decimal points, and that's your GPA itself there. Okay, and again, normal GPA just count every single thing, count all the honors, count all the things as there. Again, some schools don't do it like that. Some schools, like again, the example, probably the most famous example is the UCs. The UCs do not count 9th grade grades is number 1. They only count A through G classes is 2, and they only count up to 4 points of honors in 10th grade, up to 8 points of honors in 11th grade, up to 8 total 10th and 11th. Lot of rules, right? But that's why the GPA is a little skewed compared to most people. But again, keep in that. But this is just like a high level GPA. Okay, so really quick, a lot of math so far. This became a math class. Any questions? Any other feedback, Coach Victor, on this?
No, you got it.
Yeah, awesome, fantastic, right? So again, that is the behind the scenes in case you guys were curious on how to do it. People always want to like always ask us, so that's the thing there. But here's why it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to show this example. I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys 2 students, right? I'm gonna give you 2 students, student A and student B. right? And those who are here as well too, we got like 114 people here. If you guys want to participate in this little fun interactive activity, feel free to do so as well too, right? So first one, student A has a 4.0 GPA. Okay, student A has a 4.0 GPA. Student B has a 3.87 GPA. All right, so that's it. That's all I'm telling you so far. So in the chat right now, which student, if you are the university of your name, right? You are the university admissions officer as well too. Between these two students, right? Which one would you pick? Right, I see people say student A. A few more for A's. People like student A. All right, cool. All right, you guys pick student A because student A has the bigger GPA number, right? So again, so this is pretty much how a lot of you guys, when you guys ask us GPA questions, that's what you guys assume as boom. Someone says here, whichever has better activities as well too, right? Let's say it's student A here is ASB president, right? Student B here was a key club member, right? Make it more fun. All right, let's do one more. Let's do this is also a tennis captain, and this one just a soccer member. All right, now let's make it fun now here. Between these two students, right? Student A has a 4.0 GPA, ASB president, tennis captain. Student B, 3.7 GPA, key club member, soccer member only so far, right? Which of these two, if you were the admissions, who would you pick at your school? Is your school, you are accepting students, right? More people are participating now, right? The answers are getting clearer for everyone. A. No one has supported my poor student B so far yet. All right. So let me kind of change it up a little bit more for you guys, right? So this student A right here, right? This student A has a 4.0 GPA because they have straight A's, right? Straight A's as well too. This student, I think they have mostly A's and a few B's, right? Mostly A's and a few B's, right? That's the new context for you guys, right? Student A, 4.0 because they have straight A's. A is be president, tennis captain. Student B, 3.87 GPA, mostly A's, a few B's though. Key club, soccer team. Has a better question is, does anyone going to change their mind yet still, right? Because I think everyone has been unanimous on number A. Someone says no. Right? No. Right? So, oh, cool. So far we are, if it was your universities, it is that. If it was, if Coach Victor and I were the readers, we'd be like, tell me more still. Because there's still a lot of information I don't know yet about. This is nothing still about what I know about the students, right? And again, the reason why I do this example is because when we talk to a lot of families on a free 15-minute call, they gave us this, and I'm like, all right, cool. Is my kid going to Harvard or not? And I was like, whoa. There's a lot more context I need to know before I can give you a better recommendation. So let me give you a lot more details for each student that I think will help you get a clear picture of both students. This student A has a 4.0 GPA, straight A's, all basic classes. There are 20 APs offered at this school, and most students take 12, right? This student did this. This student only did this, was ASB present, spent only 2 hours a week doing this one, only spent 3 hours a week on this one as well too. When it comes to their essays, they only talked about how they love ASB. They loved ASB. They loved hitting tennis balls. They loved crocheting as well too. And then they had a hard. They struggled. Their biggest challenge in their life was almost getting an A minus as well too. As well too, right? Is there. Then student number B here. This student took this student went ahead and took 15 AP and dual enrollment courses, right? The average at the school Average at the school is going to be just 8. They dual enrolled a lot extra than the average student there as well too. This student did Key Club member. They were here for let's say 10 hours a week here. They did soccer. They love soccer. They spent a lot of time in soccer at the school and outside as well too. They probably did 15 hours a week here as well too. When they come to their essays, right? They on their soccer prompt, they talked about on their soccer prompt, they talked about why they built a relationship, trusting other folks, right? Because for the first time, they were the younger one. Interesting, right? The younger one on the team. Because number two, the reason why this student wasn't as involved in a lot of things was because they're the oldest child. They're the oldest child in the family and they had to come home right away. So the only two things they did was during the school hours. Every other activity was after school. They couldn't do that. So they had to come home and take care of things in their family. This student, they'll challenge themselves, right? And took online dual enrollment classes to increase their rigor of their doing of their thing. And they also love crocheting. Those ones too. All right. Now that you have this context as well too, which student would you take to your school? Right? If you were accepting students to your school, which student would you want? Would you want the student A with the straight A's, right? Loves crocheting as well too, right? Biggest challenge was almost getting an A minus, right? And then student B, who literally beat the average. The average rate, they almost doubled what the average of their school was as well too, right? As well, and I forgot to share this as well too. Their Bs were in ninth grade when they were adjusting because it was a rough transition between middle school and high school. So throughout high school, so 10th grade and beyond, 10th grade and beyond, they had all straight A's, right? As well too. But it's just because the freshman year was still there, they had the adjustment. We had a few B's as well too, right? See, now a lot of people are saying B now, right? So again, there's two quick lessons here, right? Number one is context is really, really important, right? It's number one, right? And number two, wait, if you guys pick B, which again, I would also pick B in this example, right? Wait, if GPA is not that important, why does it not matter here? Is the big one, right? Is the thing as well too. And here's another example, and then I'm gonna have Coach Victor kind of share kind of what really matters for us, is that when it comes to the GPA, if GPA was if GPA was the most important factor in academics, then only the valedictorians, right, and salutatorians would be the only ones accepted to their colleges, right? Is that true? I don't think so, right? I can tell you that at my high school, I was not the valedictorian or the salutatorian, right? And I got into Berkeley as well too. So it's one of those like again, GPA is not it's a factor, but it's not the most important factor. Especially again, 3 times you told me no, right? 3 times you turned away student B, poor student B, right? Until I gave you more context about their academics, and told you more context about who they are, right? Even if I took out the academics, right? You can still kind of convince yourself one way or another, but it's this last part. Again, be a different topic, different day. But again, just to show you, this is kind of a little taste of how admission works itself. Okay. All right. So with that said, Coach Victor is going to go ahead and kind of talk about, okay, so hopefully I prove to you guys GPA is not that important, not that big. Stop stressing about it, all this there. So now, Coach Victor, what really is important when it comes to the academics?
Yeah, let's actually go back to the scenarios real quick,
Yes, go
right?
ahead.
Just because it makes it easier to like kind of teach here. So look, comparing between these two students, right? Let's like try to remind ourselves like what is it that admissions looks for, or what is it they care about? And I guess this goes in number three, right? But essentially here, right, we want to know will your student succeed in college, right? Because it's not just about being able to get in, but can they actually graduate on time? And so the thing that we try to understand here is the academic rigor. And the academic rigor can give us more information about whether can they actually handle the university courses and the amount of rigor that's expected. We get this question a lot, actually, during a lot of our coaching calls. Like, is it better to go for the regular classes, or is it better to go for the uh, go for the regular classes, get all A's, or to take the academic rigorous courses? Well, think of it this way. What does that tell me about your character then, right? What does that tell me about your student if you're always going to be choosing the easy classes so that you can get an A? That shows me that you're not willing to push yourself or you're not willing to try harder, right? And also, let me ask this is like, are other students able to get A's in that course, right? What makes it that it's so impossible for your student to be able to get an A versus other students that have been able to get an A in that course as well? So I sometimes some students might say to us like, "Oh, it's super hard to get an A in this course," and a lot of other people like, "If I were to take this course, I might get a low grade." But you already have this expectation on yourself that you're going to get a low grade, right? If you kind of already go in the mindset of saying like, hey, I don't want to like take this course because it's going to ruin my GPA, then what does that tell me about you, right? That just tells me that you're afraid of challenges. You're afraid of like pushing hard. And so if I were to see that on your application, then that tells me that you're just trying to look for the easy way out. So that means that you're not necessarily working. There's like a difference between being smart versus working hard. And in ways, right, we want to be able to see if you are willing to work hard for it, right? College isn't supposed to be easy, right? College admissions isn't supposed to be easy. There's ways to work smarter, of course, to be able to get in, and that's the strategies that we provide. But at the end of the day, working hard and the grit and the effort that you put in is what's really going to help you shine in the college admissions process. Hence why we try to look at the two things. One is the academic rigor, and the second is the grade trends. And what Coach Tony mentioned was absolutely correct. How ninth grade, right? It's totally understandable if your grades are not necessarily the best, and maybe at times you might struggle in your math courses or your English courses or whichever. But if you're able to show that change, right, that kind of trend of trajectory going upward, then you are showing that you've learned something, you've gained something, you are actually able to turn things around. And that shows character, right? The ones that are able to really shine are those who really demonstrate that they have been going through obstacles, they understand the challenges, and that they strategized, they accessed their resources, they thought about some type of plan to be able to get out of their situation. So that is the what we look for even within the essays itself, and to be able to make sure that we are accepting students who won't just give up just because they get a B or a C. So like if you're able to show and change things around, then I think that really stands out for us. Coach Tony, anything you want to add to that?
No, I love it as well too. I think that the big thing that Coach Victor kept saying a lot, which I don't do enough of, is the word character, right? Because at the end of the day, right, what makes you different than anybody else applying, right? Because again, pretty much two kids, again, you almost kind of this example too, right? Two students can almost have the same exact number, right? Same as GPA number. Realistically, when you read like, again, was it the UCs have on average over 100,000 applications each. There's nine schools with over 100,000, LA being the biggest with 170,000 applications as well too. There, a lot of students' GPAs are going to overlap, right? When it comes to activities, when you have 170,000 people, the activities are going to start to overlap as well too. But what makes you different is the stuff that's not just the metric. It's not just the one thing. It's that character. I think that's the big thing to understand when it comes to this, is that readers want to know who you are, right? And it's the who are you rather than the what you've done as well. Quick question, Coach Victor. Fun kind of segue question as well too. So there are, you said an example here of like of like getting an A, and it's hard to get an A as well too. So let's just kind of double down, because again, it's right now it's
Mhm.
almost final season, right? It's almost final season as well too. So again, this is like us kind of thinking back, reflecting as well to helping our younger version of us out. What kind of tips would you say for a student who is like trying to figure out? Because again, it's more. I think it's a skills thing. It's not a one is a mental thing of like overcoming. Yes, you can do it. Let's say students like, hey, cool, I know I can do it, but what tactical can I do to kind of improve my grades? Any study strategies or any kind of tips that way to kind of help them like actually increase their grades if their grades are kind of, and I'm thinking right now the borderline students, like the B plus, 89%. I need to pass my final. Any tips there? Just because
Yeah.
it's fear at the finals right now.
I'll give you two strategies. First is actually not related to study strategies, but the first strategy is actually to avoid that hard class. One of the things that, even though I mentioned it builds character if you're able to show that you went through that class, it's okay to avoid the hard class too, but still go for a rigorous class. Okay, there's a different alternative for that. One of the things that me and Coach Tony always like kind of teach our students about is make sure that you kind of consider dual enrollment courses for that particular course. So for example, if you know that your AP Calculus AB is like super difficult, then go over to the community college and try to find a Calc 1 course that covers AB material. And also to look up a website called ratemyprofessors.com. That will help you be able to identify professors. And you want to look for the easiest professors ever. Okay. Uh, yes, that kind of contradicts a little bit of what I said earlier in terms of being able to persevere and push through as a character, but also we value two things, right? We value working hard and working smart. And this is the part where you're able to work smart. And also, of course, you're still going to be taking college level rigor courses here. But at the very same time, we know that there's certain circumstances where the teacher might be extremely difficult. They have a ridiculous, like, kind of grading schedule. In fact, fun fact from my education policy days, grading is one of the most unregulated kind of policies out there, just as a FYI. So that means teachers have full autonomy and agency about how they grade. So even if as a parent, I know some parents have talked to me about this. Can I go over to the principal and tell them about my grade or talk to and negotiate it? Well, the thing is, at the end of the day, the teacher has the final say about what the grade is. And for most teacher unions, they won't really allow you to like change the grade just because a parent comes in and then starts advocating. So just a fun fact there. But in regards, let's say that you do have to take this hard class and you do struggle. So let's go to the second strategy, right? Which is actually the studying strategy. So in most cases, right, when it comes to not being able to good grade, it's possibly because you're not set up for success. The way I kind of see it is you have to optimize your environment and your systems to be able to make sure that you succeed, right? There is a typical quote that a lot of people might have heard before that you are the product of the environment that you live in, right? For example, if you live in a household that it has only like junk food, right? You're more than likely going to be a result of that junk food, which is being lethargic, being tired, not feeling healthy at all. But if you live in an environment that has a lot of healthy foods, then you'll more than likely be a healthy person, right? So one of the key things here is like accessibility, for example. How are you accessibly being able to access your resources and to be able to make sure that you study and or have the resources to be able to get the tutoring or help that you need. So for example, let's put it in a concrete way. If you are struggling with like the amount of time to focus on studying, one of the strategies that you can consider doing is how to build better habits. And part of building better habits is to ensure that you have a time of the day, a place, and also a cue where you are always going to be incentivized to be able to make sure that you do study. So, meaning that, let's say that you study best at your work desk, right? Or I guess not if you don't have a work desk, I guess your desk at home. Do students have desks now nowadays? A table at home?
Yeah.
So, like for example, a table at home and making sure that it is an environment that is optimal for that. So, for example, maybe you want to make sure there's no distractions, make sure there's a little bit of white noise potentially. You have to understand like how do you best study, right? What's the best kind of environment for you? And also, every time that you're in this environment, it should automatically activate you to study. And what I mean by that is some people, like for example, might have access to their video games at the same place as where they actually do studying. Well, that's not optimal because if you're going to go to a desk and you find yourself like playing games, like of course you want to play games as opposed to studying because it's so accessible to you. So one of the tips actually, I remember telling one of my students who I coached a few months ago, I told them legitly, I told them legitly do this. Disconnect your computer, put it inside your closet. And every time that you want to play games, you have to actively take it out of your closet, plug it in, and to be able to like play. And the reason for that is because you're adding friction to that distraction. If you want to make a habit stronger, right? Make that habit as easy as possible and make the bad habits as difficult as possible, meaning adding more friction. So, for example, if you want to make studying easy, make sure your desk already has everything that you need, whether that's your notepad, your your pen, your textbooks, whatever it is that you use to study. Use that as like your cue to be able to make sure that every time you see it, you want to go study, right? And if you have a particular time, making sure that you block off time. It's important that you set a particular time. For example, every single morning, right? When you wake up, the first probably things that you do is brush your teeth. Hopefully you brush your teeth. I hope you all do. Oral hygiene is very important. So in that case, right, it's the same thing here that you always have to make sure that there's a particular time in the day that you always have this cue already set up for you and that it becomes a routine, a habit. And if you're a parent here, you probably already know how routine is one of the most important kinds of things to be able to raise kids with. Because if you don't have routine, it becomes chaotic for them and makes it hard for them to really like sustain themselves or to be able to create good habits. So if you are trying to help your child right now, ask yourself, do they have systems in place or an environment that is healthy for them to be able to work? Do they have distractions in place that is preventing them from maintaining those good habits? And so, and if your student is having a hard time starting a new habit, such as studying, a really excellent kind of thing to consider, and this is actually from the book Atomic Habits by, what was it, Adam Grant? No, it's not Adam Grant. Uh, Forgot who it was. Atomic Habits, really great book. I really recommend it. James Clear, James Clear.
There we go.
James Clear. He recommends this thing called habit stacking, meaning that if you have a really positive association with this habit, you will like more than likely be able to do it. So, for example, for me, one of the things that I did way back in the day, in order to like increase my amounts of reading, is by drinking coffee with every time I read a book, meaning that I create a rule for myself. I can only drink coffee unless I'm reading at the same time. And I love coffee. Coffee is like, my like kind of go-to thing. And that's like my treat. So something to consider is what is something that you can stack on top of your studying habits or whatever you're trying to improve as a habit to be able to increase that frequency. So for example, for some kids, right, they might really love to play games. They might really love to watch a TV show. They might really love to, there's nothing wrong about doing any of those things, by the way. It's a matter of when do you actually get to do it. And so treat that as the award, right? You can only play games if you finish your homework or you study, or you can only do certain things until you finish studying, or you're able to enjoy something while you're studying. So, for example, that could be like coffee, that could be, I don't know, any type of other drink, or maybe some type of snack that you really like to do. The goal here is to trick your brain into enjoying something that you might not necessarily like. Okay. The other thing to consider is for a lot of students who struggle in a particular subject, it's probably because they don't actually have someone that actually has the right knowledge and they're just lacking knowledge, for example. They might need someone to teach them, right? So tutoring can always be a thing that can like definitely work. I'm not necessarily saying like always hire a tutor per se, but you want to think about who are the individuals around your student or yourself if you are the student that you are surrounding yourself with where you can actually gain knowledge, right? One of the common quotes is like you're the average of the people that you're with, right? And so think about it if you're the student or if you're the parent looking at your own kid, who are you the average around? Are you around people who will actually like motivate you to study? Are you around the people who would have the knowledge to be able to make sure that you do well? And so this is also one of the things that I've noticed that some students might struggle with online courses or even dual enrollment courses at times is because they're not around enough students that are very similar to them. So also as a consideration, if you do the dual enrollment route, is making sure that you do understand how to access your resources, such as like local tutoring, to be able to make sure that you do well in this course, unless you're like really good at like self-studying. And so for the most part, just making sure that you're intentional about the community that you're trying to create here. So again, as a kind of a that the focus is how to create a better environment, right? Your environment is a product of your place, the time, and the cue. Uh, and and based off that, that is going to help you build better habits. And for the things that you want to get rid of, such as bad habits, you want to make it difficult and increasing the friction of it. And to be able to do that, you either make it challenging to do by either making it hidden, where it's out of sight, out of mind, for example, or you increase the number of steps to be able to make it difficult to access. Uh, and yeah, and then pretty much for good habits, you just do the opposite. Make it easy and very accessible, and you can easily see it all the time. Coach Tony, any thoughts here?
No, I love it. The one thing I would also share, just to, again, is that we're kind of a little tangent here, the studying as well too. One thing I would also add on top of all this is, I think you kind of talked about one line of like I basically blocking out the time to do it, right? I think I've done a training on this, like every month I do it once, and everyone like is gung ho about it for a little bit, and never does it, right? It's one of the big quotes that I know Coach Art loves to always share with our students is, yeah, plan your work and work your plan. Meaning you have to know what you're doing, right? The reason why some of our students are really efficient with their time is they know exactly. If I tell our student, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? They're not gonna be like, oh, my homework. No, they'll be like, oh, from 3 to 4, I'm doing this. From 4 to 6, I'm doing this. 7 to 8, I'm doing it. They have it blocked out to a T. So that's the big thing about this as well too, is when you're studying, you should know, hey, I'm studying. What are you studying? I'm studying this chapter for this test on this day at this time, right? So when it comes to success, again, for those who joined a little later today, right, we were kind of bragging a little earlier that some of our students today are seniors, so 2025 seniors. They're starting to get their acceptance letters this past week. Today, another round of incredible results. Some of our students got to Notre Dame today. Some of our students got to MIT today as well too. And if you ask them, it's not accidental. They're not accidentally getting to these schools. These are students who are very intentional with everything they've done as well too. So again, if you guys want to be successful, just do again work smart. Just copy what they're doing. So and we're giving you all the tools that we know that these students are doing. So again, be intentional with that. So again, especially when it comes to a subject that you're struggling in, or hey, I need to bump it up a little bit. Cool. Be intentional about making sure, hey, I'm studying this to this time. And that's how your students stay up all night. Because some parents tell me, my kid stays up to 2 in the morning. I'm like, you don't have to. No student needs to stay up to 2 in the morning, right? If you're intentional with your time, you know what you're doing. You never have to stay up late is the big thing. Cool. Awesome. Very awesome. Awesome. Well, we have one question in the chat. We'll go ahead and review it real fast. Someone says some schools have a minimum GPA requirement as well too. I think this is going back to our analogy earlier here with the GPA example as well. Someone said UCs have a GPA requirement. They do. So for those who don't know, for the UCs, a minimum GPA for California residents, right, is a 3.0 GPA. UC minimum GPA for California non-residents is a 3.4 GPA. B average. As long as you're a B average student, you should be fine as well too. Again, I'm hoping you're more in the B average student, of course, but then that is that. Fun little fact, I always share, and this story always bites me in the butt. So again, keep what I'm going to say, grain of salt, understand the full context. A few years ago, we helped a student get into Berkeley with a 2.9 GPA, right? And then he was like, holy moly, right? Can you help me? This is usually the E stuff as well, too. Again, context. The UC GPA is, again, very particular. We kind of talked about here. They only count A through G courses. They only count 10th grade and beyond. They only count up to certain GPA units. The full context of the story, that student that we had, they were really sick. They were in the hospital for like months as well too. So they missed school. As a result of missing school, their school didn't allow them to get incompletes. They gave them an F during that semester. As a result of that, that 0.00 pulled a lot of it down. But right, if you look at their academics after that, when they came back to school, their grades were phenomenal, right? That's just the academics. When you look at their activities, they were involved. They couldn't go to school because they were in the hospital, but they did stuff online, right? Online stuff, resources as well too. So they did stuff. So they were doing stuff. The student had over like 30 something hours of activities every single week as well too. So again, if you want to compare apples to apples, I always ask students, do you have those things too? Because if you do, then cool. But if you're not, then there's a lot of other things as well too. Again, this is a number as well too. Okay. This is, I don't know that. I don't know. Weighted, unweighted? I don't remember. But again, you shouldn't be aiming for a minimum, by the way. For the we shouldn't be aiming for minimums, right? This is just a number. Keep in mind, especially the UCs, they use holistic, all schools now, most schools, they use holistic review. Even if you don't meet whatever number they're looking for, they will still read through your entire applications first, just to give a fair assessment of, because again, they don't know, right? There's a lot of context they don't know. So they're going to go ahead and share that first. And then afterwards, they're going to go ahead and again with everything they know, then they'll give the assessment after that.
I just did a quick check. It is weighted GPA for the UCs for the
Awesome.
3.0 and 3.4.
Thank you, Coach Victor. Awesome.
Mhm.
I think that is
Also, to consider
pretty.
for the context too, like, I mean, we also do look at the specific courses that you did get good grades or like not so good grades, right? Because like, for example, in Tony's example, we looked at scenario two where uh, the lower grades were actually in the more difficult courses. And also, this might align with your major as well, where, like, for example, if you're applying to like a STEM major, or like an engineering or computer science major, we're going to take a closer look into math and
Mhm.
sciences, obviously. So like, are we gonna penalize you for getting a B in PE? You know, like I don't know about that. That'll be a really mean reader. But like at the very like end of it, like we just care like, can you actually graduate from our school? And so based off that, we look at the particular subjects that are related to the classes that we would expect you to take, based off your major of interest.
Awesome. Perfect. Cool, cool. Awesome. It looks like we pretty much wrapped up all the questions. So a few quick announcements for you guys before we bounce off today. Announcement number one, if you are a junior, currently right now, class of 2026, our college application intensive event is live. If you guys want to sign up, if you haven't signed up already, it's 3-day series. Day one is going to be a 1-day event in spring called Kickstart. You guys know the most important part of your entire application is going to be the essays. So we're gonna with this event, we're gonna help you basically start and finish. So Kickstart, you're gonna go come with nothing, leave the 1-day event with your rough drafts complete. You're gonna submit it to us. We're gonna give you a review and recommendations, so your child can kind of edit it as their first draft, so they're good to go there. Then you guys can come back for day number two, which is Accelerator, 2-day event there. So weekend, we're gonna help you pick it. Yeah, first draft all the way to complete it so you can leave with your final draft. So pretty much instead of stressing out all week, all summer breaks, a lot of our seniors, not our seniors are done, but for a lot of other seniors out there, they were stressing out all the way to the very end as well. You guys will be done way ahead of schedule and just kind of been cruising along that way. If you guys are interested, collegeappintensive.com here. And if you're not yet in one of our coaching programs and you're curious, we are offering a free 15-minute coaching call to help you guys out if you guys have any questions with anything as well. Again, even if you don't buy or sign up, we still want to help you guys out on this call to see if we can give you some guidance so you guys are on the right track as well too. You can go ahead and book a call here. I'll drop the link in the chat. If you want to go ahead and text us, you can text the word coach as well too. Text the word coach to book the call, or if you want to the notes that we took today, type the word notes. Again, text us 949-298-6234, and we're going to go ahead and send it over to you guys there. Okay. That is pretty much it for me. Any closing words from you, Coach Victor?
No, I think good. All's good.
Perfect, perfect. Well, that's pretty much it for me. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Tuesday, and I'll chat with you guys on the next call.